Hello there. Welcome to CineMunn podcast. I know it's been a while since we've done a show. Tonight, doing a solo show by myself. I am your host, CineMunn. Thought about having the guys on. One's not here. Metropolis is entertaining guests, and WikiWikiWire is at work. So tonight it'll just be me giving you two reviews. One for Ghostbusters from Paul Feig. I know it's been out for a few weeks. Hopefully you've been able to see it, and so this review will not be a spoiler for you. And the other review will be for Suicide Squad, which just came out today, August 5th. I did get a chance to see it last night. We'll save all my reactions, thoughts, and criticisms for when we get to that review. If you have not seen the film yet, I recommend you bookmark this video or save it. Come back to it afterwards when you've seen the film, just to hear our point of view if you like. Leave comments and your thoughts, if you think we're full of crap, if you think, you understood better, or you liked it more, you liked it less, da-da-da, that'd be great. Bookmark this page, feel free to like our page, and subscribe. That way you get the latest reviews from us that we post up as often as possible. Again, I do apologize. It's been a while since we've done a show. I've been working a lot, and just finding the time to podcast properly has been a little bit of an issue. So that's on me. So I apologize for that. Okay, if you notice, there's a little something in my voice, kind of clear my throat a lot. Drinking some water here and such, so bear with me. I do apologize. If you also hear any humming in the background, I do have fans on. This is California, people. It's hot, all right, and it's late summer. It's still very warm, so forgive me again for that. Ghostbusters, 2016. Directed by Paul Feig, Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy, Kate McKinnon, Patty Jones. Sorry, not Patty Jones. Leslie Jones. And Chris Hemsworth. I'm so sorry. Tale of four women who start investigating paranormal events around New York City, who get involved in a lot of crazy business. I'm a child of the 80s. I grew up with Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters, I think, for a lot of people, at least of my generation, is possibly one of your first scary movies that you ever saw when you were a kid, in the sense that it's the first movie you saw that had genuine scary moments to it, that were scary enough to scare you, but it was still lighthearted enough to make you laugh and not completely turn you off from the film and, piss yourself in the night. Well, maybe not you. Having said that, I love Ghostbusters. I love the original film, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd. Over time, I know it has grown to become a bigger film than it probably ever deserved to be. The guys themselves who made it, including director Ivan Reitman, have very straightforward said it was lightning in a bottle. That film blew up much bigger than anyone ever thought it would be. It's become a staple of the 80s as far as recognizable icon, theme song, effects, storytelling, mixing humor and horror together, kind of like John Landis's American Werewolf in London, mixing humor and horror together. At least I thought it was a little funny. So when they announced that they were going to remake or reboot Ghostbusters with an all-female cast, I didn't care. I was fine with it. I had no problem with that. I didn't mind that they were going to do that. It didn't bother me. I was fine with the idea. Cool. They said they were going to try to get the original cast to cameo in it. Fine, cool. Maybe they'll do what the 2009 video game did, where it was, it was them training some new rookies who would eventually take over for them, like kind of pass the proton pack to a younger generation, and that was fine. If it had been a mixed gender team, even better. But they decided, okay, we're going to go with an all-female team. Fine, cool, I can live with that. They announced Paul Feig as the director. Okay, cool, I like Bridesmaids. I like The Heat. I liked Spy. Spy, I thought, was a surprise to me. Was much funnier than I thought it would be. Then the backlash started from a lot of people about Ghostbusters, about, there's no female cast, and, they're gonna ruin my childhood, and and Paul Feig is not funny, it's not gonna be funny, and, they're gonna ruin Ghostbusters. Whatever. Alright, there's a difference between fans and fanboys. I think I would, depending on who you ask, I would fall into the category of a fan, in that I appreciate the original material for what it is. I am open to new interpretation, so long as it is respectful, and, shows me something new in a grand way. Fanboys are people who are like, this is sacred ground, and you can't touch that. And I had a little bit of that in my heart, but never fully enough to express it towards, like, I don't like this at all. I didn't mind. Every movie can be remade. I'm fine with it, because it does not take away from the original film. I still have the original film here on my shelf with my film collection. So, by saying they're going to reboot a film, I don't care. They're rebooting Ben-Hur. That's going to come out later this month. I'm fine with that. I've seen Ben-Hur itself, the 1959 film with Charlton Heston, was a remake of a film from the 1920s, which was in turn an adaptation of a book written by a Civil War general. So, there you go. Okay, so remakes, reboots are nothing new in Hollywood in film. The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing from the 80s, was a remake of the Thing from the 1950s. Obviously much more well-known. And then in 2011, they kind of did a reboot/remake of The Thing again. It did okay. Joel Egerton and Mary Elizabeth Winstead were in that one. Okay, so Ghostbusters. I saw the film. I went and saw it with my best friend. He took me for my birthday. The main reason I wanted to see it, because having watched the trailers, if you listen to one of our previous shows, we watched the trailers together. I believe that show is our Four Guys from Kentucky episode. That's one of our better shows. If you listen to that one, we kind of talk about the Ghostbusters trailers and, our interpretations of it, what we think the film's going to be like. We all the majority of us had said that we're not really looking forward to it, that we think it might it might not be as good, whereas Ryan said he might end up being the only guy who enjoys it. I don't know, I haven't been able to talk to Ryan yet about what his thoughts are on the film, if he's seen it at all. So, again, my best friend took me to see it for my birthday. It came out right on my birthday, so that's fine. The main reason I did want to see it, having watched all trailers and everything, was for Kate McKinnon. To me, she was the highlight of the film. The reinterpretation of the proton packs, of the suits, it was nice. It was neat. Obviously, with the passing of time comes what can be perceived as greater technology, greater advances in science, and they took full advantage of that. That's great. Kudos. Awesome. But certain things of it were just a little too easy in doing it. I mean, one thing we never saw in the old films where they developed their logo from. Yes, that was me opening a can. We never saw where they developed the logo, the No Ghost logo. That iconic image of the ghost in the red circle with a slash through it. We never saw where that came from. It might have been developed by Egon. It might have been developed by Ray. Most likely it was developed by Ray. We'll never know unless we get to ask Dan Aykroyd who came up with that idea as far as the film goes. Not like who on the production crew made it. Obviously, you can find that in any book or backlog of information about Ghostbusters. But who, if you were to say in that universe, which character developed the logo for the team, we don't know. Probably Ray. For this one, spoilers if you haven't seen the film, in 3, 2, 1. A subway artist makes it. Okay? A subway artist. A guy who is basically vandalizing a wall in a subway station. They're talking with him. He says he saw a ghost. And so, not necessarily drawing that ghost that he saw, but in general, he's drawing a ghost in general. And so they're talking about, they're talking with the Leslie Jones character of Patty, talking about, find a way to capture it and study it, la-da-da. And so the guy in turn, they're saying, oh, we don't want the ghost, okay. So then he decides to draw this big old red circle around it with a red slash through it. And they don't show you it. Like, you see the guy doing the art on the wall, da-da-da. And then the camera finally pulls back and shows you it. And, if you have any sense of where is this going, you already know that that's what's going to be. And you expect, because the character of Holtzman, played by Kate McKinnon, kind of stays just a little long, you know she's going to take a picture of it, and that will then be in turn interpreted to be their team logo for Ghostbusters. That's fine, I guess. This film came off as very pro-women, and that's awesome. I'm not against that. I'm not saying it shouldn't be. I'm not saying, oh, women shouldn't be busting ghosts. No. I'm fine with it. It's cool. I have no problem with that. My problem is the way they interpreted men. They took these guys and just made them the dumbest people you ever saw. I mean, I've had mold growing in a shower that is smarter than these guys. I don't actually have mold growing in my shower, but you know what I'm saying. And the way they play, Chris Hemsworth plays their assistant, their secretary basically, who answers the phones and takes the calls, sets them up with their, where they go, and they play him like a complete idiot. Now, Hemsworth's performance was good. I'm saying it's the character that he was given is the problem. His interpretation of the character was fine. He's a serviceable job. You kind of buy it. He's kind of like a ditzy blonde, is what they're playing. They're playing like a ditzy blonde. It's the fact that they wrote his character that way, that's what bothered me. Like, it was very much, women are smart, they're insightful, they're intuitive, and yes, women are all those things. But then to say all the guys in this film, from the Secret Service agents to the mayor to the secretary to anyone else involved, even the antagonist, they're all stupid and bumbling and That's not how you win your audience. That really isn't. You might win a portion of the audience, and again, I'm not trying to create segregation between genders. It's not what should be done. It's not what should have been done in that film. I think it should have been a co-ed team. That's what I would have done. I would have made this a co-ed team. Even if it's just one guy with a group of girls. Kind of like how I was in high school with the dance class. It was like myself and another guy and like 13 girls. It was co-ed and it was fun. Haha. If it had done something like that, that would have been a better show. I think that would have made a better film. It would have interpreted it better. My other issue with the film, and this is the one that really kind of bugged me, I've had to think about it a lot, but it really does bother me, is why it's happening. Now, in Ghostbusters, it's simply a supernatural occurrence. They straight up tell you, that Ray and Egon are going around, interviewing every single crazy in the 5 boroughs who says they see a spook or specter or some type of, something supernatural. Basically, that's basically what they tell you in that film. That they go around and interviewing people who say they've seen ghosts. In this film, again, spoilers, in 3, 2, 1, it's someone who is literally causing the activity by setting off these kind of electric charges that disturb the supernatural world, that kind of realm, that plane of supernatural and spiritual. He's interrupting that plane and kind of bringing these ghosts to a border, to then break the border to help him conquer the world, because he was bullied. I just think about that for a second. This guy was bullied, so because of that, I'm gonna unleash all these ghosts, and they're gonna help me conquer the world, and I will bring about the apocalypse and the end of the world, and I will create the world in my own image. I am God. No, that's not. It bothers me that's very much become this generation, and obviously, speaking as someone who believes in things like faith and spirituality, that's one thing that I notice even in it's a generational thing between this generation and previous generations before it, is that divide of faith with practicality, or what look at logic. Well, logically, this can't just be a supernatural occurrence. Someone has to be doing it on our world. Someone in our world is messing with the spiritual world, as we really don't believe in, because of science. And you can't do that. I'm not saying that makes it bad. I'm saying that it doesn't help. You're going to try to make everything else about this film as logical and practical in its setting as you can, as in, like, there's real science behind these proton packs and what we're doing and the work we're doing, but we're going to have supernatural elements to it, and they're going to be coming about because of science, and you're kind of tripping over your own 2 feet. You know, you either commit to one, or you commit to the other. It has to be a full commitment. And speaking of commitment, that's what bothered me about some of the characters, too. I didn't feel fully committed. The only character I thought fully committed to their role was Kate McKinnon. Again, one reason I wanted to see the film is because McKinnon. I think she's beautiful. She's a beautiful woman, great talent, she's funny as hell. I love her character, and she was a highlight of the film for me. She's probably the only reason I would watch it again. Kristen Wiig, I didn't feel it. I like Kristen Wiig as an actress. One of my favorite roles of hers that I've seen recently is Welcome to Me. It's a film she did, I think 2014, where she plays a woman with mental issues who wins the lottery and thus creates her own TV show, kind of like Oprah or Rachel Ray or Dr. Phil type thing. It's a really deep and both serious and comedic, kind of like Skeleton Twins, the other one she did with Bill Hader. But it really shows her depth of range as an actress. And in this one, she's kind of soft speaks her way through the film, and at times over-exaggerates reaction, and really kind of plays the flirty thing with Chris Hemsworth, and it just felt like another Kristen Wiig in a comedy film type of thing. That bothered me. Melissa McCarthy to me plays the same character in every film. Yes, I did say I enjoyed Spy, I enjoyed The Heat, I enjoyed Bridesmaids. But to me, she kind of plays the same character in every film. And one thing you do notice about her, ever since she kind of became more famous after Bridesmaids and with her show Mike and Molly, you've noticed she looks a little better. You know, she's lost a little weight. And obviously, I'm not saying that she shouldn't take care of herself. By all means, people should take care of themselves. It's fine. There's nothing against that. But, you know, you want to come off as the same type of caricature that you've created, and I'm not buying it anymore. And it just feels like a rehash of the same person over and over again, and it bothered me to the point of, like, her character kind of wants to be the Dan Aykroyd of this universe, and it's not there. It's not there. I'm sorry. Patty Jones received a lot of backlash, and I feel bad for her in that sense of that's what happened to her. A lot of backlash for being a woman, a lot of backlash for being black, a lot of backlash for being Ghostbusters. It's kind of like 3 kicks while you're down. That's kind of fucked up. I'm not a fan of that. I do think that her character could have been written a lot better than she's simply an MTS worker who, you know, she knows New York. And they really did develop her character a little more than what they presented to you in the trailers, to where not only did she know, like when she says she knows New York, she really knew New York. She knew the history. She knew the history of the buildings, of what went on here. This used to be the old prison. This is where they electrocuted people the first time. This is where this happened. This is where this stuff kind of happened. You know, that was the way it was seen. If you can hear howling, I'm sorry. Our dogs are howling at something. They like to sing the song of their people. So that's what that is. So I apologize for that. I don't know where anyone went. I'm going to pause our show right now and take care of that. We gotta fix this in post. And we're back. Sorry about that. Hopefully that's taken care of. But yes, they wrote her character. She knew much more about New York. She knew the history of the city, the history of the buildings, and that added to her character, which was great. But she still came off, in some ways, as a stereotypical African-American character. And that's what bothered me. And you could have done so much more. Yes, you've heard the argument, they could have made her one of the scientists. Fine, cool. You could have flipped it, they could have had someone else be, more of the streetwise character, but I get it, it's easier to do with her character, that's fine. So, that's my thought on that. Overall, Ghostbusters, I think, had a lot of potential, and they kind of squandered it. And that's what makes it too bad. Because it's a loved franchise. Obviously, it's a very beloved franchise by an entire generation who grew up with the movies, with the cartoons, with the toys, with the video games, with the second cartoon that wasn't nearly as successful but was still just as fun. And that's one I enjoy too as well. I've been rewatching that on Hulu, so that's been at least somewhat of a treat. And even that show got a little darker and a little grittier when it needed to be, and I wish they would have done that with this film. This film had the potential to be so much funnier than it was, and so much scarier than it was. Again, like I said, Ghostbusters is one of those films that's kind of your first scary movie. And this film, at certain points, you can feel they really wanted to go for a genuine, dark scare. And they didn't! They didn't do it! Why would you not do that? It's so easy to do, and it would have made it so much better. You have the effects, you have the money, you have the budget behind it. And you didn't do it. That's what bothered me about it. Probably the best things you've heard about the film are the fact that there are little girls who went to see this film dressed up as Ghostbusters. They got to say that there's a character for them who, who's a Ghostbuster. That they can say, I can be her. I am that character. That character is for me. And I get that, and I don't get that. I mean, being of Hispanic heritage and coming from a white family, you get a wild blend of things that most people don't get and don't understand. So, it's a little harder for me to say, well, I don't relate to that character, because, at least according to my upbringing, I do relate to that character. I get it. I understand it. So it never bothered me. It hasn't been until recently when I saw the trailer for Rogue One and Diego Luna's character of I can't remember his name at this exact moment, but to see a Hispanic actor as a lead character in a Star Wars film, that was kind of special to me, and I finally got it. I understood it. Why people feel that way about that now. I understand. I get it, and it makes me kind of think, like, what else have I been missing as far as that part of my life? So it's been kind of fun. And that doesn't mean, like, all the characters I grew up watching, like The Rocketeer or Batman or Superman, all those, like, oh, fuck those guys now, they're all white, I have nothing to do with them! No, I still love those characters, and I still relate to them, and I go back to watching those films now, and refinding parts of my childhood that I've forgotten, or that I miss, or that I want back. And it's neat to re-experience those films, and it means more now, or it touches me more on a more personal level, on a deeper level, than it probably should, given some of the quality of the films, or the, things like that. But because it comes from a personal place, that's what makes it so special. So, again, overall my review on Ghostbusters was, there was so much more potential for this film that wasn't touched upon, that it could have made it a great film. The cameos that they did, obviously they did kind of pay cameo homage to Harold Ramis in a nice way. They had a little bust of Egon Spengler, because unfortunately Harold passed away a couple years back, so the ability to do a true sequel to Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 was, fully killed off when Harold passed away. They do cameo Ernie Hudson, Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, obviously, and Sigourney Weaver has a nice little cameo at the end. So, but even though, and Annie Potts as well has a nice little cameo as the hotel front desk manager. She even kind of gives you her nice little annoying line of, what do you want, type thing. So that was, certain things like that were nice. It just felt a little heavy-handed in, like, okay, we're going to pay tribute to this character, now we're going to pay tribute to this actor, now we're going to pay tribute to this actor, but it's not them in their character. It's like, if I want to see them in a Ghostbusters film, I want to see them in their role. I want to see Dr. P. Venkman, I want to see Dr. Ray Stantz, I want to see Winston Zedmore, I want to see Janine Melnitz, and I want to see Dana Barrett in that timeline. And unfortunately, with the direction they took for this film, that was never going to happen. And that's too bad. It's a shame. It really is. Okay, so I'm going to take a little moment here, just kind of pause as we switch topics. How are you? I'm kidding. Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad is DC's third film in their DC cinematic universe, kind of in line with what Marvel is doing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Obviously, Marvel is like 13 or 14 films deep now, and counting. They have really built the universe. From film one, they had a plan. The unfortunate thing with DC is that they did not have a plan. They kind of say, here's Superman, we're going to see how it does, and go from there. Here's Batman Superman, and we're going to see how it does, and go from there. They've kind of gotten a hold of that now, and they understand the world building, I think, a little bit better. If you listen to one of our last shows where we reviewed Batman Superman, all of us, I think I was the only voice in the crowd really that truly appreciated and enjoyed the film. Now that film is on DVD and Blu-ray, you can watch the extended Ultimate Edition cut, and it makes a much more linear story. It makes it deeper. It really fills in a lot of the gaps that unfortunately were created by editing and by studio involvement. And I know that's a big thing for Metropolis on our show, is studio involvement in film. You have to have studio involvement, though, because it is their money. And that's the truth to this all. So, that's unfortunate, but it's going to happen. So, either get over it or, keep bitching on the internet, where we're all safe behind our keyboards. Suicide Squad was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. They really took these characters and made a comic book film. Man of Steel was very much like a graphic novel. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice was very much like a graphic novel. Suicide Squad feels like a comic book film with bright colors and splash page images and character origins and all that kind of fun stuff that you want in a film like this. They do that. When I initially got out of the theater, I said to myself, I liked it. It was fun. The more time, though, I've had to sit around and kind of think about it, because apparently I sit around on my ass and think about films, even at work, I like it more. I enjoy it a lot more. I think back on moments like, that was this, and this was a little nod to this. Oh my gosh, they had to do with that, and it's stuff like that. When you're able to kind of rethink about a film and kind of relive it in your mind and say, wow, this is going for something completely that I'd never even thought about, that's what makes it fun to me. And this film did that. This film has a high rewatchability factor. It's not quite Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, so let's just put that out there right now. I know when I first saw the trailers for it, or the second trailer for it, not the first one, the second one, it very much had a we want to be Guardians of the Galaxy type of feel. This is DC's answer to Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. It wants to be that. It never quite ascends to those heights, but it wants to be, and it had the potential to do that. First thing we'll address is the Joker, because obviously in a lot of people's minds, fresh at least in a lot of people's minds, is still Heath Ledger's take as the Joker from 2008's Dark Knight. Yes, that is a landmark of acting in a comic book film, but really The Dark Knight was not so much a comic book film as it was a crime film where your lead character happened to wear a mask and your lead villain happened to wear clown makeup. I mean, really, that's, if you want to deconstruct Dark Knight, that's what it is. Jared Leto in this film is very much the Joker. Seems like an interpretation of several versions of the Joker as done throughout the comic books. Now, if you do not read comic books, if your only affiliation with these characters is through the movies, or through the animated series, or through, fan films, you're getting hints and pieces of it, but you're not really getting the full thing. It's like getting a meal and you get like a little taste, just a little nibble, as opposed to getting to enjoy the whole thing. That's what I kind of feel I got from Jared Leto in this film. He really brought a version of the Joker to life. Now, the version I felt like he gave was from New 52. If you've read the New 52 storylines, that's to me the Joker I kind of got, and he felt like a wild animal. And even kind of express that in you'd hear kind of deep growls or grumblings in his voice and his throat. And that was this is animal inside this guy. Yeah, he's so unhinged that he could snap and just kill you with his bare hands right then and there. Or he comes off as very cool and kind of suave. He's a gangster. He's like a cartel boss. He's manipulative. He's he's charming, he's charismatic, he's flirtatious with Harley Quinn, and that really comes off. And I really liked their chemistry together. Was good, and he seemed like someone who really understood the character. At least that's how I took it. And so I really enjoyed his take on the role and the character. Speaking of Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn was wonderful. I think she truly embodied the character. She understood the craziness of the character. She understood when to play it straight. And she also really got how much Harley Quinn loves the Joker and would do anything for him. And vice versa, feels like he would do anything for her. You really got that from her. There's nice little kind of images and moments to their relationship together. How they talk to each other, how he takes care of her, how she takes care of him, how he uses her, how she uses him. And, it's very much, I think they really understood and got the characters, and got the chemistry of the characters as well. So that was a highlight to me. Will Smith, I think you could almost say he needs one or two more good roles to say he's back. But in this, he really is stepping back into where he used to be as a respected actor and as a box office pull. His interpretation of the character Floyd Lawton, Deadshot, that was so good. And they got his look right. They didn't quite get the helmet right. I know a lot of people gripe about that. Oh, it's not the shiny chrome dome, the chrome metal helmet, and they didn't do that. And so there's no truth to all this. Whatever. I like what they did with it. They kept his look. Like, if you saw this character just in shadow, it's Deadshot. You can see the guns on his forearms, and the rifle on his shoulder, and the red eye for his target is so good. I like the way they did him. And he's kind of a smart ass, and he comes off like a broken man who has been separated from his child because of what he does. And his introduction scene with Batman, because yes, Batman is in this film. Batman has a few scenes in this movie, and it is Ben Affleck's Batman. And again, if you listen to some of our previous shows, I have been a big supporter of the Ben Affleck, the Batfleck casting since it was announced. I loved it. I love the fact that he's playing Batman. To me, he is a perfect cinematic Batman, and this film only highlighted that more when he drops down between the buildings behind Deadshot and his daughter, and he's there to arrest him. And he basically kind of just straight up says, I'm going to arrest you and take you in. Please don't fight me. I don't want to do this in front of your daughter. And I thought it was a great moment. To me, that is a Batman moment, and I think they nailed it. Going back to Deadshot, he's great. He comes off as a leader, a reluctant one, but a leader no less, whose ultimate goal is to see his daughter again. And that's his driving force. That's his motivation behind what he does in this film. That's a good motivation to have for your character. All the other characters as they come out, as they're introduced to you, are really neat. The June Moon Enchantress character was neat. I think her transformation, the first couple times you see it, as she goes from Dr. June Moon to Enchantress, was really cool. The very first time you see it, it's so cool because it's like this hand kind of takes her from underneath. Like she's standing at a table, she simply just kind of says Enchantress, kind of like summoning her forth from inside. And this hand just reaches up from under the table and grabs her own and flips over. It turns over, and it turns over into the Enchantress, this kind of dark witch who's been around for centuries. And she comes off as very, earthral and supernatural and like smoke and dust on her. Like she's dirt. Like she's made of dirt and shouldn't still be alive. And her makeup and everything reflects that. And also kind of very sexual character as well. Not like, she's trying to get laid the whole time. No. But in her look and her costuming, which makes her look like a tribal, like a witch doctor, almost like a tribal witch doctor. Very, kind of bear coverings, which is fine for actress Cara Delevingne, who plays the role, because Cara's background, she's a model. So she's used to that. And so her body, her movement, the way she holds herself, the way she walks, worked perfectly as someone who, I think, coming off as someone who's supposed to be possessed by an entity. I thought that was great. Captain Boomerang was a lot of fun. Captain Boomerang, I think, while I'm not a big on the knowledge of the character, the way Jai Courtney played him was really fun. I mean, he gives him the Aussie accent that Boomerang's supposed to have. His boomerangs are really cool. I mean, they're like almost like a drone guide, to where that's how he's able to get them to come back to him. They're sharp like knives, and he can use them to cut and claw his way through stuff, and they're very kind of violent, and he's a brawler. You know, he comes big and kind of broad-shouldered, and I really thought they got that right. And his scene, where, because in a few of these, as you're introduced to some of these characters, they show you the apprehension, how they ended up in Belle Reve prison, which is where the film starts. They all start, they're all in prison, and they're recruited into this thing. So when he starts out, he's robbing a bank. And there's going to be a spoiler, so again, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When he's apprehended is done by the Flash. So Ezra Miller has a cameo as the Flash apprehending Captain Boomerang. And if you think, well, what the hell is he doing there? Captain Boomerang is mainly a Flash villain. If you watch The Flash on CW, you that can't be true. It's Reverse Flash and Captain Cold and, the Weather Wizard. Yes, those are all Flash villains as well. But one of his other main villains up there with Captain Cold and with Heatwave is Captain Boomerang. I'm really not quite sure why. I'm never read that deep into the DC universe as much as I should have. And believe me, I am slowly starting to get deeper into DC because I like where they're going with these films, and I want to have some type of base knowledge, at least base knowledge of each character as they're presented up in these films. So that being said, the scene where the Flash just simply kind of shows up there to arrest him. It was so cool, and his armor, his suit, again, I just said it, his armor is kind of like an homage to Injustice, Gods Among Us, the game for Xbox 360. So, I mean, his look for these films, I think, is going to reflect that with the Flash. And it's just a quick little moment, like maybe 5-10 seconds, and it's done, and it was so cool. I really enjoyed that part of it. Amanda Waller. Viola Davis, I remember hearing a lot of stuff when they were casting the role of Amanda Waller. They were thinking, who are they going to go with? One possibility was Oprah Winfrey. I think Oprah Winfrey would have been awesome in this role. I think she really, obviously Oprah, you know how Oprah looks. She really has the look of Amanda Waller from the 60s and 70s, or from the 70s, 80s, renditions of Suicide Squad, when Ostrander had created them. And with the way Amanda Waller looked, she had that look. Viola Davis knocks it out of the park. I think she's perfect. She comes off as this manipulative, knowledgeable, almost like a bitch in some ways, and she knows it and she doesn't care. She has the upper hand and she's going to use it and twist it to her will. You were going to work for her because she says so. And they got that right, and she played it. I think she nailed the role perfectly. She's perfect for it. I would not recast it in any way whatsoever. I want to see more of her in this character, and I think we will. I think she'll become a standout for the film, and we will see her grow in the DC universe on film. And I really hope she does, because she's fucking awesome, man. I thought she was so good. The rest of the cast falls into place rather well. Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag. Very serviceable. He's a good actor. I like him. If you ever watched The Killing on AMC, you're familiar with his work. If you saw the RoboCop reboot in 2013, I believe, 2014, where he played the title role of RoboCop, I liked him in that too. I really did. I liked him as RoboCop. He wasn't Alex Murphy. He wasn't Peter Weller, obviously, but he did a great job, I think. I was impressed with him in that film. So I was looking forward to seeing him in this. Adewale as Killer Croc. You may not be familiar with the name, but you know the guy. He's been in so many films. He was in The Mummy Returns. He was on Lost for a couple seasons. He's a man who walks between two worlds. He was in the Marvel Universe. He played Curse in Thor: The Dark World. Or Algrim, as he was originally introduced. He was one of the Dark Elves. He was the black guy. That's who so he got to play an otherworldly being in the Marvel world, and he got to play a metahuman in DC. So this man has creds on both sides of the coin. That's awesome. So I mean, he did good. I really liked him as Killer Croc. Personally, I would have preferred if they did Killer Croc as a motion capture character, but that's my own personal opinion. Director David Ayer wanted to go with practical effects, practical makeup, and bodysuit. Cool. It worked just as well. Not quite as well as I think it could have, but it was cool. He looked good. He looked menacing, and that was fine. Katana, I can't remember the name of the actress right now, but she was a badass. Like, she was so cool and precise in her sword movement. I completely bought it that she was a sword master, and she was Rick Flagg's bodyguard, which kind of makes no sense because he's a soldier, but whatever. She was his bodyguard, and she was so good. Almost all her dialogue is done in Japanese, which I thought was a nice little service to the character. Her mask is cool, and you see the kind of wear and tear of battle on her mask. So you see eventually there's a crack going down the face, and it's so cool. And her movement was precise and quick, and I really hope she comes back in a sequel or in another film as well. I want to see her. Probably one of the biggest standouts or big surprises was El Diablo, played by Jay Hernandez, which if you saw, I think it's called Crazy Love with Kirsten Dunst from the early 2000s, he was in that. I think he was also in Hostel, Eli Roth's Hostel. I think it's the same guy. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know. Feel free to comment. Right? Oh, you're an idiot. You don't know shit. Cool. If I'm wrong, correct me. But that's fine. I'm pretty sure it's the same actor. The character of El Diablo, as they play him in this film. Let's start by saying that David Ayer, is a man who grew up in the rough parts of LA. He grew up in a multicultural, almost kind of gangland areas of LA. So he grew up around that. He's familiar with gang violence and drugs and stuff like that. I'm not saying accusing him of taking drugs, but he's familiar with that culture, with that lifestyle, with seeing that, growing up around that. It's something he's used to. And that's reflected in a lot of his films. If you've ever seen Harsh Times with Christian Bale and Freddie Rodriguez, that's his first directorial effort, and it's reflected in there. Training Day. He wrote Training Day. So if you've seen Denzel Washington's Training Day from 2001, where he won his Oscar for Best Actor, that's written by David Ayer. And what does it deal with? A corrupt cop dealing with the drug world. End of Watch, which is one of the best buddy guy films ever. Not a buddy cop comedy, because not that. There are moments of levity in it, yes. But it is a deep, heavy film about friendship between two LA cops. And it's so good. And if you're not crying by the end of that film, you know nothing about friendship. And that it really shows in that. And Fury. Fury from, I believe, 2014 was a film I was semi-looking forward to. It's Brad Pitt's tank movie, if you're not familiar with the title. Fury. And, again, written and directed by David Ayer. It was such a surprise to me. I was expecting, okay, this will be a good film. And I was blown away. Like, holy shit, this was awesome. It was so good. And the way he portrayed tank warfare, I never thought tank warfare could be so intense and deep, and that camaraderie between the group of guys running the tank was so good. And he takes that and brings it into Suicide Squad as a camaraderie of a team of people who really don't blend together in the normal world, but they have to blend together to survive this mission. And, okay, so going back to El Diablo, going back to the way he's interpreted as a character with these kind of gangland roots, and he's portrayed as this man who is remorseful of his gifts, in that he doesn't know his own power, his own strengths, and I love that they address that. Here's a character who's a metahuman, who has these abilities that are so strong and powerful, even he doesn't know what he's capable of, and he's afraid of losing control, because he lost control once, and it cost him something very near and dear to his heart. And so he kind of made a vow, I will never use this power again, because of what it took from me. And he's a man of peace. And they try to kind of, rile him up, this is you kill all these guys in the prison, you're all your power. That's not me. I'm not that man anymore. That's not who I am. And I love that they played this character of, what he did was so, to himself at least, so awful and bad that he never wants to be associated with himself again. At least that aspect of himself again. And for the squad to understand that, and to really kind of bring it back out of him, not to be like, oh, well, that's who you always are, but to say, you do have the power to control it, and we are here, we're kind of supporting you in that, because, we're all bad guys. We are all bad guys. So we understand. We can relate on some level. I love that they did that, and they really humanized some of these characters. El Diablo is humanized, Deadshot is really humanized, and Harley Quinn is very much humanized. And her interpretation of the character, I know if if you're a fan of comic books, or if you watched, like I did, the 92 series of Batman, the animated series from Bruce Timm, where they first introduced Harley Quinn, Paul Dini created the character of kind of like a little henchman for the Joker, who just happened to be a girl, and she blew up. Excuse me. She became this sensational character, and she's so good. She's so funny, and to bring her into film, I loved it, and I thought she did so well. And her choice to be in love with the Joker, she falls for him. They show you those moments of her kind of falling for the Joker, and she would do anything for him, and he recognizes that, and he kind of uses her, and she uses him. It goes back and forth like not necessarily cat and mouse, but like a tug of war. But there's mutual love and respect, and mutual hate and respect as well. I think they hate and love each other as they hate and love themselves. Kind of Lord of the Rings right there, but yeah. So I like that they did that with her character as well. And her choice to be with the Joker. This is a moment where he's with her above the vat of chemicals at the Ace Chemical Factory, and it's not so much like an acid as I think a lot of people have interpreted it. As so much I think it's just like a chemical bath. And he says to her, would you die for me? And she says yes. He's like, oh, that's too easy. Would you live for me? I think that's almost like a deeper question, especially for a character like the Joker, just to say to someone, would you live for me? And she, again, says yes. And she doesn't so much say it as she shows it by voluntarily dropping into the vat of chemicals. And I think to show his appreciation for it, he jumps into and pulls her out. Not to say, like, he's saving her from the chemicals, no. But he's baptized her into himself. And so now he's bringing her out of the baptism in his arms. And that kind of like cementing their love together. I thought it was so good. The action in the film is really cool. It's a lot. There are a couple of things here with the editing that I didn't quite care for. Kind of like moments that felt a little shuffled around. Towards the end of the film, they kind of make sense of it, but still, I think not quite as clear as it could have been. So those are a couple of my issues with it. There's a couple throwaway characters like Slipknot. You could tell from the beginning, unfortunately, even from the trailers, you knew his character was going to be a throwaway character, and he kind of is. He serves a purpose. It's one I predicted he would serve, and that's fine. So when you see the film, you'll know what I mean. I'm trying to think, what else? There is reference to the events of Batman Superman, so this is... Excuse me, so if you have not seen Batman v Superman, again, spoilers, this does take place in a post-Superman world, after Superman died in his battle with Doomsday at the end of Batman v Superman. And they make reference to that. You'll know it when you see it. Some of the music felt a little heavy-handed in, like, again, we want to be Guardians of the Galaxy, so we're going to do, like, classic 70s, 80s rock music soundtrack as well, that you're familiar with, that you know, and so you're going to like it just as much as you liked in Guardians of the Galaxy. And they do that, it doesn't quite blend in as well, mix in as well as it did in Guardians, and that's okay. It felt a little heavy-handed to me, at least, and I think it could have been done just a little bit better. Some people... I know this film has gotten a lot of flack from a lot of critics and reviewers for whatever reason. I really haven't read the reviews. I don't care about the reviews. I'm not one who reads reviews. You might not be one for listening to reviews, so if you're not listening to the show, obviously, well, that's cool, too. That's fine. Enjoy your life. If you are someone who bases their film or their interpretation of a film or gets a new perspective of film from listening to this podcast, that's awesome too. I appreciate it. I love you for listening to this show and for taking the time to listen to my dopey opinions. I think this film over time will grow to get more love and appreciation than it has right now, and that's unfortunate because it's doing good. I mean, it's set a Thursday night record, and I think it will hit its opening weekend numbers that they are predicting it will hit. They're supposedly saying it should hit about 140 million over the weekend nationally, and it started out Thursday night just over 20 million. I think they're on their way. I think word of mouth. A lot of people who listen to critics, especially nowadays the way ticket prices can be, people listen to critics more, and which is unfortunate because you miss out on some great stuff in film. And if you can go see a movie, if you know every dollar that does go to the film, it really does go to the film. It supports the film. Obviously, a percentage of what you pay for ticket price goes to the theater, but a lot of it does go back to the studio and helps say, we like this film. How do you know people liked it? They saw it. They went and spent their hard-earned American money and saw our movie. Obviously, we did something right. And I think this film does something right. And it's worth seeing. It's worth having that cinematic experience. I know there is the option of seeing it in 3D. If you like to see movies in 3D, cool, go for it. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not big on 3D films. I think 3D movies kind of have somewhat gone the way of the dinosaur. Even Jurassic World. I love Jurassic World. I didn't see it in 3D. I'm not going to bother. My biggest issue with 3D is that it tints some of the film. It tints some of the color, kind of fades it. And if you have a film that's done in dark, and a lot of this film is done at night or in rain, parts of it, you're not going to be able to see it as well. I know they've been getting better with the glasses about that, but still, to me, it's like, it's not worth it. So, if you want to go see it in 3D, by all means, go see it. Let me know how it was. Because there are some moments in there that you know were designed for 3D, 3D view. Cool. Go for it. I'm not a fan of it, so... But I will say that when Doctor Strange comes out in November, I may consider seeing that in 3D, because it looks trippy as hell. Overall with Suicide Squad, I would give it a 7 out of 10, maybe 7.5 out of 10 at the most. Again, not great. It has its issues. They are noticeable. But I don't think it ruins the film at all. Again, I think it has a high rewatchability factor. It's one worth seeing. And I think it's a step in the right direction for this DC cinematic universe. Also, once you stay through the main credits of the film, which is all kind of big old flash and kind of neon colors and kaleidoscopy, for a bonus scene with Amanda Waller and a certain Dark Knight vigilante. It's a scene that I think ties into their next film, the next films that are coming. So it's worth it. I think also just for that. When you go see the film, let us know. I would love to hear your opinion on these movies. If you've seen Ghostbusters, write your opinions here. If you've seen Suicide Squad, write your opinions. I want to know. I want to know what you thought, what you think about the characters, what you think about the film, what you liked, what you didn't like. If you think they're going in the right direction, if you think it should have been redone, if you think this is wrong, if you think this is right, let us know. I would love to hear your comments. So please feel free to like our videos, like our page on Facebook, CineMunn Podcast. Leave comments, leave likes, share with your friends. Hey, you want to go see Suicide Squad? Yeah, but I'm not sure about it. Okay, cool. Here's this guy I listen to. He did a review on it. Let's hear what he says. Maybe it's worth seeing. Maybe he's going to point something out to us that we never thought about or we never interpreted. I think that if you like comic books, you will like this film. I also think that if you like comic books, you need to be at least somewhat open-minded in the fact that this film is an interpretation, not an adaptation. That's a big thing in this comic book community. People forget that this is not a direct adaptation of any one story from the comic books, or any two stories. This is an original story written by the director that takes bits and pieces of the character's background to help develop the character. And that's really what it is. And that's something that should always be known with all these films. Even the Marvel films, like Civil War, like Age of Ultron, were not direct copies of their titles on the page. It's a film. Winter Soldier is not directly Winter Soldier as I read it in the comic books. But it's damn good. That is our podcast for the night. I've been your host, CineMunn. Thank you for listening. If you made it this way through our show, just under an hour. I was not planning on going this long, but again, I reviewed 2 movies. I hope you liked it. If so, again, please like the page, like the videos, share us, subscribe, and I'll try to be on top of it more with more frequent current shows. I know I've been lacking. I'm sorry. I apologize to you, the faithful who do actually listen to us and are subscribed, and I will try to do my best to be more frequent with this. Again, thanks for listening. Feel free to like us, share us, find us on Facebook, and like our page. We are here for you. Let us know what you want to hear. If you want to hear some more commentary shows, I want to do commentary shows. I would love to watch movies with you and talk about them, give you history, give you trivia, give you facts, give you stories from the set, even though I had nothing to do with the movie. But I love that stuff, and I hope you do too, because I would love to do more movies. Let us know what kind of movies you like, and we look forward to it. I have been CineMunn. This has been a podcast. We'll see you next time.